Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are so excited to have you here with us this evening. I'm going to let everyone file in just a little bit. In the meantime, you could warm up your fingers, drop in the chat where you're coming to or coming from to us tonight. You know what I mean. It's always the first sentence. That's the hardest one to get out, you guys. I see Sparks, Nevada, Minnesota, Tennessee, Florida, South Dakota. Oh, running errands. Okay, someone's very literally running errands. That's funny. Orlando, got some Central Florida in the house. A couple of them merit. Let's see. Atlanta, Denver, Pennsylvania, Texas, Maryland, Orlando, a lot of Orlando, Wisconsin, Georgia, Miami. All right.
Coming in
Beautiful.
fast too.
Yes, definitely coming. We have a lot of quick typists in here in the group. I love it. Oh, you're getting some love already, Lorraine. Yes, you guys. And I saw the hearts and everything coming in too. Thanks so much for the reactions. We have an adventurous journey of learning planned for you guys tonight. I got to say, this webinar, Beyond the Textbook, Navigating Court Reporting's Unique Situations, it's going to be one for the books. I'm just saying. This webinar is pre-approved for point one CEUs with AAERT. In order to be eligible for that, you need to stay for the entire webinar and complete the survey that will be emailed to you tomorrow. So that will hit your inbox by the end of the day. So you can keep an eye out from that, from the info@blueledge.com email. And then throughout tonight's session, we are going to walk you through real cases pulled from the field. Each case will end with one way that a reporter handled it, and you're invited to be the jury on that choice or action. So I'm going to go through the mechanics a little bit more in just a moment, but first, let's meet our wonderful, lively, experienced, and amazing panelists. I'm going to start with you, Merritt. Will you kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Absolutely. My name is Merritt Gilbert. I am the director and lead instructor at BlueLedge. As many of you know, we offer certification prep training and continuing education like this for digital reporters and legal transcriptionists, as well as other methods. Before working at BlueLedge, I became a digital reporter in 2012. I also worked at a court reporting agency for many years where I hired and would train digital reporters and legal transcriptionists.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. How about you, Paul? You feel good going for us next?
Yes, of course. Hello,
Awesome.
everyone. My name is Paul Grasso. I've been a digital reporter with Veritex for going on 6 years now. I've been working remotely and later expanded into in-person reporting. And today I cover remote, hybrid, in-person work throughout all five boroughs of New York City and Long Island. So it's safe to say I'm a busy bee. I have my CDR and I'm working towards my CER. I'm also a captain with Veritex, which gives me the opportunity to support new and upcoming reporters. They shadow me during depositions. I answer their questions, review their work, and I help strengthen their skills before they start working. It's something I genuinely enjoy, serving as a mentor and sharing just what I've learned in a career that I truly love. And I have to add, one of my most recent highlights in this career was attending the AAERT Unity Summit, and it was a fantastic experience. The panels were incredibly informative, and I had a chance to meet so many wonderful people, including two amazing members of the BlueLedge team. I'm already looking forward to next year's summit. So I'd like to close my introduction just by thanking BlueLedge for having me today, and I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Yeah, that summit was amazing. There was so many good conversations going on, so much activity, so much value to learn from. Oh, I loved it. It was so much. It was perfect, honestly. Love that you brought that up. How about you, Miss Lorraine? Will you go next for us?
Okay, I'm Lorraine Edwards. I live in South Carolina. I have been a digital court reporter since 2019. Before I was certified, I actually went through the course at BlueLedge. So that's where I learned most of my stuff and cut my teeth to get me ready for the certification with AART. I've been doing transcripts now for almost 2 years, along with digital court reporting. And I will have to say, in South Carolina, so I work for the state, and we have an amazing group of our digital court reporters that work for the state. Um, And I love this job, and I hope I never do anything else for the rest of my life besides being a court reporter.
Love that. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you guys so much. And I do see a question I'll answer really quick too. If anyone's not able to attend, we do have this recorded. It will be on our site under the on demand where we have the webinars. And then also we do convert our courses over into a $12 purchase you could do if you want the CEU. So free on demand anytime. And then if you really want the CEUs, but you couldn't attend live, we have that option for you too. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the mechanics of this webinar, okay? As I said, I'm going to read each scenario aloud, including how it was actually handled, and then invite you, the audience, to type your verdict in the chat. We'll give a few seconds, and then I'll bring in our amazing panel for their verdict and reasoning. To participate, all you have to do is type in your opinion. Have guilty, not guilty, or jury still out. And you put it in the chat before our panel, or you could do it after too, but get it kicking for us before the panel reveals their verdict. And now you may ask, guilty of what? And it's just guilty of an oops. Maybe it's like guilty of perhaps they took some precautions, but not all. And it's not anything that's meant to be a harsh judgment or anything like that. The point of these scenarios is that they don't have a quick and easy textbook answer. They are complex scenarios asking for critical thinking, for expertise, for perspective. And you're here to cast your thoughts on that, all in good fun and in good spirit. Okay. So again, there are no wrong answers per se. So we do encourage you to participate and just have fun. If you're really unsure or you need more time to think about it, you have the answer you could put out there, jury still out. You could put that response and keep it there in the chat for you if you need that. And if you want to be anonymous, you can answer with the reactions if you guys want to do that. So you could answer with the thumbs down for guilty, the thumbs up for not guilty, and just pick any random emote that you want for the jury still out. However, your responses, well, let me say this first. So your responses are totally optional. You guys, please really don't feel any pressure. But we do have a prize that will be given for this webinar from the participation in the chat. So after the webinar, we're going to tally up the people with the most participation via the answers in the chat and choose one to give a $50 gift card to. So super excited about that. I hope you guys have fun with that. And just a way to give back and tell you guys that we love and appreciate all that you do as our audience. So participation's key. Don't be shy. Don't stress it. Just have fun. Challenge yourself to think on the spot and warm up those critical thinking skills that we all need to have in this field. And just remember, you do have the options via reactions too, but those won't be counted towards the drawing for the prize, okay? All right, is everybody ready? Ready to do this? All right, let's do it. All right, so the first one we're gonna do, we're gonna pop in, and this again, this was someone submitted this in the registration, a real scenario that happened. So an attorney is reading from the document aloud, but doesn't read it word for word. The transcriptionist notices and wonders whether it should still be transcribed in quotes. After realizing the deviation was only one word off, they leave it in quotes as originally planned. What do you say? Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out. Let's see you guys in the chat. What do you have? Okay, guilty, guilty. Not, I see not guilty, guilty. Not guilty. Okay, got you. Jury's still out. All right, they're rolling in. I'm going to throw this one to you, Merritt. What do you think? What's your verdict?
I absolutely loved this question because it is difficult and we don't always have access to the document. And I don't think it's not like the onus is on the reporter or transcriptionist to like always get access to that document to really verify that everything. But if you are aware that something was misquoted, and you did have access to it, you can use the parenthetical as read to basically show that this is what was said out loud. So you can use the quotations, and this is kind of like what it would look like. This is the attorney speaking. In section 2A, it states, and then in parentheticals, as read, and then the quotation mark, all terms and conditions of the agreement dot, 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 right? And then in quotation marks. So that as read is telling the reader that this might not be exactly what's on the page, but this is what the person said out loud.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. And I see people in the chat saying that they do that as well. And also, Holly, I saw your answer in there too. So thank you for submitting that. I love how you guys always like help each other out and put things in there too, extra bits of advice. So helpful. So thank you. Now, Merritt, I want to ask you too on this same thing. What if it had been a witness reading or quoting something instead of the attorney? Does the testimony carry a different standard than attorneys or anything like that? Is this same verdict or stay the same?
Same verdict. I think that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Case 2. A witness shows up without an ID. Both attorneys say they've worked with this witness for years and vouch for their identity, telling the reporter to go ahead and swear them in. The reporter does and doesn't note the missing ID on the record. What do you guys say? Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out. Depends on the
Tough
venue.
one.
Yeah, it is. Guilty. I see a lot of guilties and some not guilties. All
I
right, you
did
guys
see a
are
question was like, is thumbs up guilty or not guilty? So thumbs up would mean not guilty, right? And then thumbs
yeah,
down would
like
be
good
guilty.
job, not guilty. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay. How about you, Paul? I'm going to throw this one to you. What do you think? You want to give us a verdict of what your thoughts are?
Yeah, so I want to say guilty, but I also want to say jury's still out, maybe, because when it comes to using your notary swearing a witness, it really depends on your state and jurisdiction. I'm in New York, so I would always ask for ID, but if they don't have an ID, you could also have someone attest for the identification. So, I mean, well, they're not guilty, I guess. But it's a gray area, I feel like, because
It's
it just depends on where you are. I would try getting the ID, and if both attorneys are attesting vouching for the identification, then it should be okay.
Love it. Okay, go for it, Mary. You saying?
Yeah, definitely jury's still out because to Paul's point, yeah, there's some places that you don't have to check ID, but like in Florida where you have to check ID every time, and it it's tough because it is your own notary, right? You don't want to like do anything and then there be an issue, and this is your livelihood having that notary. But the way that scenario was worded made me think that the witness was an expert witness, and I'm like because they've worked with this witness for many years now. I'm like, if it was an expert witness, and like I would not feel like I would be in jeopardy, but I also am like cautious to say that it would be okay. So I feel like I still probably wouldn't, but it would be a tough one for me.
I want to add, because I noticed in the chat, and I should add this before, I would always have them stipulated on the record. This is all on the record. So there's like a number of people mentioning that. I 100% agree. Always have that on the record.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Love it. All right. So let's go to the next one. Mid-trial, a judge calls attorneys up for a sidebar conference, but doesn't specify whether it should be on or off the record. The reporter assumes it's off the record and stops typing. What do you guys say? Guilty? Not guilty? Jury still out? See a lot of guilties. See a couple juries still out. And I saw not guilty and saw never assume. How about you, Miss Lorraine? What do you think?
Guilty, absolutely guilty. I would always, my motto is I would rather have it than and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah.
And so I always working in the court system. So I usually, if I'm with a judge I'm not familiar with, I will approach them before we even start and ask them how do they want to handle sidebars, because some attorney or some judges don't want it on the record and some do. So I just want to make sure I understand that. And if I don't understand that, then I would rather have it. And then if they don't want it included, then I don't need it. Instead of trying to go back. I had a judge tell me one time that he had to, not with me, but he didn't clarify that with the court reporter, and he had to go back and try to recreate his sidebar. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, not quite the same when you have to do that. No. Yeah, great. Okay, perfect. And getting a lot of love, you guys, in the chat. People appreciating all your answers and help with that. Thank you so much. All right, let's hop over. So, for this one, another one submitted beforehand before this webinar. A witness repeatedly talks over other people in the room, making it difficult to keep an accurate record. After several unsuccessful attempts to get control of the room, the reporter raises their voice at the witness to get them to stop. What do you say? Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out? See the thinking face. Jury's still out. I see a lot of not guilties. A lot of not guilties. A couple guilties. All right. How about who wants to take this one? Anyone feeling good? Opinionated on this one? Paul's got the smile. Go for it.
Well, I mean, raising your voice, I mean, is it because are you yelling at them or is it because they can't hear you? I always say you should always interrupt and do as much as you can to make sure everyone one at a time, make sure no one talks over each other on the record. Now, if the witness is continuing to do that and there's so many unsuccessful attempts, I would make another note about that on the record, but I'll also refer to their counsel on the record and
Mm,
just tell them, hey, can you advise your client to please stop talking over the attorney? And I say cover your bases at all costs, all the time, no matter what it is. Just cover your bases. You're doing your job, and just make sure that we get that record. Uh, that would be the last resort. Is going to their attorney on the
yeah,
record.
I love that though. That's a great tip. Yeah, go for it, Merritt.
There's something I wanted to bring up too, is like we've talked about this before in past webinars, but putting your hands up is like the universal signal that like the court reporter is not able to capture the record or, so
Yeah.
that's a good one. I saw somebody in the chat say something that I really like too, so I'm going to share, is doing a T
Yeah.
for timeout. Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, that to what Paul said, you if you need to raise your voice just so that you're being heard, that's one thing, and you're saying it like in a calm, professional demeanor. But yeah, if it's more like yelling, like emotional, then it's not good to become unprofessional in that way.
I don't know
Yeah.
that I've ever had to use my mom voice in the courtroom. But I do know that we had like a little conference, status
Mhm.
conference going on, and I reminded them, probably 4 or 5 times of, excuse me, and kind of raising my hand. And we don't really, in the court, we don't really talk to the attorneys. I kind of address the judge. And then finally, I just kind of, I was like, Your Honor, you're just not getting a good record. We're not getting a good record. And so he just put a stop to it. So I think when you bring that to their attention, because that's what we're there to do, is just get the record without having to bring out the mom voice. But,
Yeah.
I think I've had to
I
bring
love
out I've had to bring out the dad voice, not for a witness or two attorneys who I thought they were
Mhm.
gonna other like physically had to raise my voice to make sure they would stop yelling at each other and to also make sure not one was gonna jump over the table.
Yeah. Good call on that
Yeah.
In a
too.
dull moment,
Yeah.
maybe a few.
Yeah. 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 All right, let's hop in. We're going to go to this next segment of cases here, the people in the room. So, cases on the human side of the job, the difficult parties that sometimes you might have to work with, and working alongside other professionals as well. So, for this one, it's around an interpreter. So, an interpreter and witness go back and forth for what sounds like a full minute, but the interpreter only translates a short summary back to the room. The reporter lets it continue without interrupting and transcribes only the summary provided. What do you guys say? Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out? Let's see some coming through. This one's pretty split, I gotta say, coming through what I'm seeing. I see, I want to say almost 50-50. What do you think on this one, Merritt? What would you say? What are your thoughts?
Um, so for this one, I wouldn't interrupt, especially on the record in front of the attorneys. But I do I hesitate myself, just because I feel like it's not our place to be monitoring the quality of the interpreter. We swear them in to make sure that they're, translating to the best of their ability and being impartial. But as far as their quality, but I also, just coming from like my court reporting agency background, I would always, if I ever worked with an interpreter, I felt like maybe like arrived late or did something that I saw as the reporter, I would let, just so that they were aware of what was going on and they could look into it further. But yeah.
Yeah. And I saw someone agree with you in the chat on that too, that they would at least mention it to the agency afterwards, going through. And there's a lot of different thoughts in here on that. It's definitely something that happens. I've seen that before too, for sure, on the job. So, okay, thank you.
Paul, Lorraine, do you have any like thoughts on that? Do you feel like you would maybe, or?
I don't think I would, because I don't know. Especially if it's something I'm not familiar with, it could be, he could turn around and be like, I did say it verbatim, and I wouldn't know. It just sounded like a lot. So I don't touch it. Most of the time in my role, I'm the silent partner sitting in the courtroom. And if the judge, there has been times where the judge has called them out before, but for the most part, I don't say anything.
Same. I'm with both of you. I usually just let the interpreter do their job. And there are cases where the interpreter might have to add something. Usually the interpreter would jump in and they would say, this is the interpreter speaking. I have to just clarify something with the witness. And then they'll do that in whatever language they're interpreting. But for the most part, I let the interpreters do their job. And remember, we're also swearing in the interpreter as well. So they're under oath.
Yeah, great point too. Thank you for bringing that in. For sure. Okay, let's go to the next one. So for this one, this was a foreclosure docket with 5 reporters packed into a tiny room the size of a small bathroom. Given the space and equipment constraints, the reporter relies on a single shared recording to cover the proceeding. Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out. What do we say? A lot of guilties. I saw a funny word, but I didn't get to read it in time. It was like yuck or something. I don't know.
I thought it was yuck.
Right? Okay.
I saw yikes. That's what I see. Yikes.
Yeah, maybe that's what I saw too. Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. So what do you guys say? Do any of you want to hop in for this one on the panel? Do you guys have a thought?
I would probably lean towards more guilty, because I wouldn't want to rely, as a digital reporter, I wouldn't want to rely on just one source of audio for my deposition. Even if we're in such a tight room, the acoustics would probably be amazing. I used to work in music, so just those words come to my mind. But I would definitely I would have one source, my main source, and then I'd have like a couple microphones just to like back it up a little bit. I would at least 2 to 3 sources of audio. That's what I go with. And depending on the size of the room and how many people are in there, who's speaking, I would go by that, but I wouldn't just rely on one source.
Yeah.
That's you're setting yourself up because of the crosstalk for in-person jobs. I like to have people mic'd up individually, or at least a mic placed near them. So in the case, not rare case of crosstalk, I'll know what they're saying in certain parts where I miss. But definitely no. So guilty.
And I love what Jonah put in the chat. One is none. So that's a great
one is none.
Quick thing to remember. I love that. Yeah. Hey, I definitely got that. I want to fit in here too, since we're talking about capturing the audio and stuff like that. I'm going to throw this one to you, Lorraine. It's a question in the pod, and it says, what do you do when you are aware the judge is typing furiously throughout the entire hearing, which is on a single channel Zoom call, and drowning out all the dialogue? Are you comfortable speaking up to a judge?
Absolutely, because my job is there to protect the record. I mean, I'm not going to embarrass him. And if we're on a Zoom call, and if I can just kind of like pull my chat up to the side or quietly, to bring it to his attention or something like that, because, I'm there to protect the record as much as I don't want to interrupt and I don't want to cause any attention to myself. But at the end of the day, I don't want to answer for the indiscernibles in the transcript.
Yeah. And I love Alexa's point in the chat brought out too. As long as you're polite, 99%, you're never going to be having an issue with that.
Because they're going to hear about the record just as much as we do.
Yeah, right. So that's the part to bring it out. So what if it's something they have a follow on for here, the same scenarios before, but they're coughing? So what if the judge is coughing? Merritt, does that change it? I saw the face.
No, because they'll also know too that it's drowning out somebody else who's speaking or things like that, or maybe they don't catch it. Maybe they think, I can still understand you, because there's a difference between like you're in the room or like live and you can kind of insinuate what the person was saying. So
Yeah.
sometimes there might be where they don't realize. So then yes, the reporter definitely needs to interrupt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I love a comment I just saw too. You could ask them to repeat as well. Maybe they said something
Mm.
kind of short that wasn't heard. And maybe that's what brings it to the judge's attention that there's an issue. Could be. So, okay, perfect. All right. Awesome. Let me keep us moving along a little bit here. So here's our next one. An attorney keeps cutting off the witness mid-answer over and over throughout the questioning. The reporter keeps recording without saying anything, capturing only whatever it makes it out before each interruption. So here's the attorney cutting off the witness. Guilty, not guilty, jury's still out. Okay, coming in, a lot of guilties coming in hot. See a couple not guilties coming through. All right. What do we think? How about you, Mr. Paul? Do you have a thought? You got a verdict on this one?
Yeah, guilty, 100%. Listen, everyone gets the same treatment for me. We're a neutral party, so we have to make sure we're preserving the record. That means everybody. Attorneys can't be cutting off the witness. Witness can't be cutting off the attorney. And no matter who it is, we have to make sure we're getting everything on the record.
Love
So the
that. That was a beautiful
reporter
answer.
without them saying anything, like you're not going to get a record. So thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask like almost like a follow-up for like if in the scenario the witness maybe just trails off and maybe they're still thinking about what they want to say, and then that's when the attorney interjects. Like
Yeah,
I
that's an
think
important
that's
point.
different than literally talking over one another. Because if it's
Yeah.
over one another, then the record is an issue. But like if the witness is like trying to think of the answer and kind of like goes quiet for a second, and then the attorney interrupts during that like quiet moment, or not, interjects and starts asking the next
Yeah.
question, then in that scenario, I feel like it's opposing counsel's responsibility to be like, hey, you didn't let them fully answer that.
Yeah. That's a
So
beautiful point. Go ahead.
can I ask, do you mean like so the witness didn't even speak yet? They were just thinking and just they didn't answer, or because I would jump in still, I would say I didn't get an answer yet. I would treat it as like almost like a nonverbal.
Hmm.
Or is it like they started answering, but then they kind of just like stopped?
Yes, started and stopped, I think is where my mind was going in that scenario.
I've had that happen where opposing counsel would actually jump in and say my client didn't finish his answer yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's usually the case. But as a reporter, it's situational. If they were like if they weren't finished, I I might have to like put it on opposing counsel to jump in, but I don't know. Lorraine?
Yeah.
I would say if
The
it's
tiebreaker.
yeah, if it's I'm not going to interject unless they are just talking over each other, because you can't, even if you get all the words and you get a dash dash the dash dash and dash dash, that's not going to be a clean transcript for someone just to read. So if they're talking over each other, I would absolutely stop them.
Yeah. And this question, the whole scenario, everything with it is perfect because that is the whole point. Like some of these, you really have to read the room. Like you have to kind of know what's going on, right? Because to Merritt's point, like sometimes attorneys have a strategy to it. Like they fire questions quick for a reason. Were they interrupting or was the witness holding, like there's different scenarios with that too. So I love that. It proves the point that like, it's so great for these moments because you get to think through that so you can kind of be a little bit prepared in the moment deciding what it is that you're seeing and where you fit in that mix with it. So I love that. Thank you guys so much, all of you, for your points. And I see, comments all throughout the chat agreeing with all three of you on that because it just really just depends. Okay, so let's go to the next one. In family court, four attorneys talk over each other while microphones pick up side conversations from people congregating in the hallway. The flustered reporter takes extra notes to help the transcriptionist make sense of it later. Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out. Okay. See a split. Honestly, I see a pretty good split in here. What do you say, Merritt? I'm going to pop one over to you. What's your thoughts?
Same type of thing as before. If they're actually speaking over one another at the same time saying stuff, you have to interrupt. It's not a readable transcript, to Lorraine's point, and you may not capture everything said. And then another thought came in that scenario is these people who are congregating in the hallway chatting, like if maybe there's a mic over there that needs to get muted, or maybe a door needs to get closed, or an action needs to be taken to not hear them as much too. Then
Yeah. Is that what you were thinking, Lorraine? I saw your head. You definitely had thoughts.
If I was in a position where I'm a gatekeeper, like we have a bailiff and, the people that have shut the doors and, whatever, but if I was in a position where I was doing a deposition and there was that going on, I would make sure to close the doors or to mute the mic. But if I hear as I'm in a proceeding and we got an attorney that's kind of talking to his client or something, if I can pick them up, I'll look at the attorney and I'll, tap my ear to let them know that I can hear them, and if I hear it, like, if it's on the record, I can't erase it, and so I let them know either to press their mute button, move away from the mic or something. And, because at the end of the day, my job is to protect the record.
Yeah, love that. I'm going to ask a question in the Q&A pod that ties into this too. So what do you do when you can hear pretty clearly on the mic side commentary between the non-questioning attorney and client or other party while the witness is being questioned, and you perceive that it's likely not meant to be transcribed, but you can clearly hear it? Do you allow it to go on and transcribe it, or bring it to their attention and to mute the mic? Merritt, Lorraine, either of you got thoughts you want to give on that one?
Lorraine, I'll let you go first if you want to, but yeah.
It's the same scenario. I always let them know. I always, because I don't want to sit there and go, well, I'm not sure. I mean, I'll be the first one to say, excuse me, or whatever, and let them know that, those mute buttons are there for a reason.
Love that. And definitely by far people in the chat agreeing with you on that
and
too.
Is that sounding like too like client privilege? Was that in that scenario where it was like the client with the attorney?
It could have been, yeah.
Definitely don't want that type of confidential client privilege conversation.
Don't
let me hear it.
I'll have a case where it'll be like Q&A, and I'll have the opposing counsel whispering to his colleague, and I'm picking up everything he's saying, even if he's whispering because he's mic'd up. But I'll know that that's not supposed to be on the record. And I have a Zoom H6, so I just lower his levels to 0 so I don't get it, because it's getting in the way of my record. So
yeah. Nice to have some options and the flexibility with that too. Great point. Thank you for bringing that out. All right, we're going to hop into the next segment. We are killing this, you guys. All right, so now we're going to get to cases where ethics, confidentiality, and professional boundaries are getting tested, okay? So for the first case, one attorney asks for a redaction after the other attorney has already left for the day. The reporter makes the redaction as requested. Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out? See a lot of guilties running through. I saw a no. A lot of guilties. Lorraine, how about you? Do you have some thoughts on this one?
No favors. No favors.
Yeah. No favors. Yeah.
No favors.
How about you, Paul? What are your thoughts?
No favors. But they would like, if there's a request to redact something on the record, I would suggest send that in writing and copy the other attorney on the email so everyone's aware of it. And if everyone's okay with it, then stipulate that in writing. But I'm not going to put that on the record if the other attorney's not in the room.
Yeah. Love it.
Agree.
Especially when we're off the record.
Yeah. Okay. let's see. Okay, let me come back to this question. Let me go to this one real quick. So, on a break, one attorney is still out and the other, alone with the reporter, asks her to do a readback or a playback of a moment that they believe opposing counsel cursed on the record. The reporter reads it back for them. Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out? We'll let this one fire off. Okay. A lot. I see a mix. I see a mix in here. How about you, Mary? You got a vote in here for us? What's your verdict?
So this one, I would say guilty. I think that if they're gonna ask for a readback that in the proceeding is not complete for the day, then it should be in front of all parties. Because even like the way that it's asked, like even seems like obvious because you're putting yourself in an impartiality-ish like situation because it's like a whole like if they cursed and that type of thing. But yeah, I think you would just try to maybe just stall and say, yeah, I can do that for you. Like as soon like once everybody's back in the room and before we go on the record or try, I don't know. But I think no.
Yeah, I love that. And I see Miss Sulapu said, "Great point, Merritt." So you have agreement in there on that with the chat too.
Hey,
Thank you
Sue.
guys. All right, awesome. I'm going to say so. This one is off the thing. They have a question about in-person equipment, trying to get all their stuff together and feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I'm going to say a great place for that is the AAERT discussion board on Facebook or something like that. You could go in there if you have a Facebook account or LinkedIn too. That'd be a great place to ask that question, Kim. Maybe some people could answer in the chat as well, but I don't know that we'll have time for it for this one. But we do have some CEU courses that could probably help you with that too. But Facebook or LinkedIn would be a great place for that one, Kim. Just throw that one out there. Okay. So next case, the reporter arrives at a proceeding and recognizes the witness as someone they went to high school with, though they haven't spoken in over a decade. They proceed with the job without mentioning the connection to anyone. Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out. All right, let's see. Oh, let me refresh okay. That's actually going so fast, it's hard for me to tell what the weight is. It looks like maybe split. Oh, I saw some big guilties. Okay, we have a pretty strong consensus with the last questions coming in. What do you say? Who wants to answer this one for us? Anyone feel as strong as some of our people? Paul, go for it. Thank you.
I would say guilty. You know, you could, it should be noted before even you get on the record, right away you realize, oh, I know this person. And I think everyone should have a discussion before we get on. It might, because what if you were there? What if you knew them around the time this lawsuit took place? This happened to me before for a company I worked for, and the company had such a generic name, I didn't know it was the company I was working for until about 20 minutes in. So that's when I got off the record and mentioned it. And I only knew because they mentioned one specific aspect of this business that's unique to all the other businesses with the same name. And they asked me they asked me when I worked there. This was off the record, and I told them when I worked there, and it was fine. It was like outside of the lawsuit. But I think it's just to play it safe, you should mention it before going on the record. Yeah.
Love that. And I feel like that's obviously a theme that we see a little bit with some of these too, right? Is play it safe. Better to be safe than sorry. If you're kind of questioning it on some of those things like that, that's a great rule of thumb to stick with.
But yeah, because you don't know what if that witness then brings it up like later on in the day or something like that, and then they look at you like, why didn't you say something? You just don't want to feel or be put in that situation.
Yeah, completely. All right, perfect. All right, you guys, we're going to go into the next segment, put it in writing. All right, so this segment's been built specifically with legal transcriptionists in mind in some of those scenarios, cases on turning the spoken record into the written one. As we get into this, though, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the brand new BlueLedge handbook, Punctuating Legal Transcripts. You guys, it's brand new. Mara, I'm going to ask you real quick, do you want to say something about this beautiful handbook that's now out and available?
Yes, absolutely, because it's just been an absolute labor of love. year and a half in the making. So it's called the BlueLedge Handbook, Punctuating Legal Transcripts. It's something that is going to be a resource that you would have forever once purchased. It's a web-based PDF. All the search features that you get from the PDF are right there. So when you're working on your transcript, you can have that pulled up right on your other window or whatever, you're looking up that random rule. The coolest part is that it is electronic. It is on your computer. You don't have to like sift through a physical book like I've been doing for over 10 years. And
we can't all memorize the pages like Natalie, our instructor, has them memorized.
Seriously.
Yeah, amazing.
Mhm.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, I could see already some people saying they already bought it and love it and appreciate so much it being in the PDF and being able to be searchable in the electronic version, not having a hand, a hard copy of it. That's amazing. So good. Appreciate all the love and work on that. The link is in the chat too, if you guys wanted to look for that. But yeah, getting so much love on that, Merritt. Thank you for that. Definitely a lot of love and put into that handbook. So thank you. All right. So let's move. Then I'm going to ask this question in the chat. That's a transcription one. So it's perfect. We're getting into the new spot. So the scenario is, I had a scenario once where the hearing was very contentious between opposing counsel, and each was trying to convince the judge of the other's hostility, which they believed would impact the outcome. At one point, one of them sighed heavily, which was significant on that context, and complained to the judge. See what I mean? He just sighed. The judge said, I didn't hear it. Normally, we don't transcribe sounds. Should we have transcribed the sigh that could clearly be heard, but the judge denied hearing? Lorraine, are you comfortable stepping out on this one? And it's in the Q&A chat if it helps you to read it.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, I know it's kind of a long one, but I love that I feel like it's a pretty unique, great question. If you feel comfortable throwing yourself out there.
I don't know. I would probably reach to the higher ups for that one.
I think in this scenario, because it was discussed verbally afterward, I think it's the same kind of concept. And add in the chat, whoever, if you have any other thoughts. But I kind of am thinking of it as like when somebody sneezes, you don't transcribe that, you don't put that in a parenthetical, but you would if somebody says, God bless you, because then it's like giving context in those types of situations. So maybe that's one of these.
Yeah. Courtney in the chat said something that goes right along with that, Mara. It says anything that makes the transcript readable and understandable. So in this scenario, yes, they're saying you would include it. Similar to your sneeze example. Yeah, you're coming in with that.
They should have got a videographer.
We have a good question too. Our answer depends on the company. Yeah, that might be something to kind of work. Like some transcripts might be handled a certain way where they do include certain, parenthetical in it or different things. So, okay, great question. Thank you, Karen, for that. Very good. Okay, so let's hop over then on this one. Okay, sorry, you guys, just making sure. All right, so an attorney asks the transcriptionist to remove curse words from the final transcript, cleaning it up before it goes out. The transcriptionist removes them as requested. Guilty? Not guilty? Jury's still out. Let's see. See a lot of guilties. Absolutely not. Right. What do we have on this one? Merritt, you want to throw this one in there for us? Answer your thoughts?
Yeah, guilty. We can't clean it up. It's got to be verbatim. It's a tough 100%. one. We're put in tough situation, guys. Like as you can tell through all these scenarios, and this one's one of them if it comes up.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, and Lorraine, how do you feel too? Because Lisa mentioned in the chat, if judge didn't want it on the record, that should have been instructed to the speaker. So
That's
the
true.
instructions to the people. It sounds like a good bit of advice too, right? Yeah. All right, awesome. Let's move on then. So let's see. Let me answer that. Let me pick this question here too. This one was submitted ahead of time as well. A witness keeps answering questions with nods and head shakes instead of words, even after being asked more than once to answer verbally. The reporter transcribes each nod as witness nods in parentheses and continues without further insisting on a verbal answer. Sorry, I kind of got that. You guys got the point. So guilty, not guilty. See a guilty big time. And I see a couple not guilties too. All right, so let's see. Coming through on this one. What would you say for this one, Lorraine? Do you have thoughts on this? What's your verdict?
I would, if I was in the hearing or in the proceeding and they were doing that, I would, bring it to the judge's attention. But I absolutely am not going to put, we normally don't transcribe or and a lot of times the judges are now trained, like we need a yes or no. We can't take down that. So just so it clears up any confusion whatsoever.
Yeah. Do you have anything you're going to add to that, Paul, Merritt, anybody?
If I have to look at you to know what you're responding with, that's so if everything has to be verbal. So I always jump in, interrupt. I need a verbal response, please, whether it's or I always jump in. So this 100% guilty. Unless it's a transcriber. But I mean, the transcriber transcribing audio and a video, that's the only time they would really know if someone's nodding.
The only thing I would bring up is there might be some jurisdictions that do have protocols on this that might say it's the attorney's or judge's job, but I think the vast majority areas will say that the reporter should help out in that way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, you guys, are you guys ready for the speed round? Should we do the Fast and Furious speed round now? We're going to go for it. All right, so we're going to ask these and we're just going to let you guys spit your answers into the chat. We'll throw them out there and we'll answer a couple of them with thoughts and additional things too. If there's a particular one you guys want, feel free to say too. All right, so we're going to go with it now. And then if you have any other questions coming through on the Q&A pod, I'll be checking those too. So we can stop and answer any questions that come in specific to anything else, any questions you guys have on that as well. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's do it. All right. First one. An attorney quietly offers a reporter extra cash off the books for a faster turnaround. The reporter accepts it as a thank you for good service. See all the guilties flying in.
They didn't even let you finish. They were talking over
I
you.
know. No. Oh my God, no.
Let her finish the question.
Love it. I love the oh boy.
I mean, they're right.
Second one, an attorney skips a number when marking exhibits during a proceeding. The reporter notices right away but says nothing, planning to quietly fix it during post-production. Guilty. What you guys say? No. I heard Lorraine. I heard you had your opinion on there.
Now, sometimes if say, for instance, I miss it too, and I'll bring it to their attention on break, then we'll put it back on the record of we happen to skip number 2, or we mark 3 and 4, or we have 2 number 3s, and they'll put it on the record and they'll fix it on the record. Okay, I don't try to fix anything in the dark, because what's done in the dark will come to light.
That's the scary. Yes, love it.
I've had scenarios where they do that intentionally, and they do it out of order, but you have to always clarify on the record or whenever.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Thanks for bringing that out, Paul. Okay, next one. An attorney emails additional exhibits after the proceeding ends, more than what was actually presented on the record, and asks the reporter to include them in the transcript as if they'd been shown. The reporter does so. No questions asked. I already see all the guilties coming through. You guys got that one. You nailed it.
No favors.
No favors. All right. 2 attorneys each hand the reporter a slightly different version of what's supposed to be the same exhibit. The reporter marks whichever version came in first as the official exhibit and moves on without flagging the difference. Got it. See a lot of guilties. What would you do for this one, Merritt? You feel comfortable throwing that out there?
I loved this one. I just shout out to everybody who submitted all these situations. And this one, yeah, I had not even had this one come up before, or at least I haven't thought about it in a long time. And it just goes back to something Paul was saying earlier, like no assumptions. We don't assume because they may not realize. So just ask for clarification.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm going to pop in a question that's over here in the Q&A box real quick. It says, what if you ask the witness to verbalize the response to a question? He said, and instead of answering the previous, and instead of answering the previous question, he answered a question that was asked a few minutes before. So they asked him to repeat, and then they like jumped back in time to another question they answered. What do you guys think? Paul's stewing on it.
I think I would say something, just be like, hey, I just want to make sure, like, we're gonna, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I would ask the repeat. Sometimes I've had cases where attorneys would actually say, "Oh, you already answered that. We already asked that question." They'd repeat the question. I would ask to repeat the question again. I would jump in if I was really unsure, kind of like I am right now. I would ask the attorney, "Do you mind just reading the question, repeating the question, or do you mind if I read back the question for you?" And then the witness can answer it again.
Okay, great. And the people in the chat are agreeing with you guys too, like clarify, ask. Yeah, definitely. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Okay, what would you do is from the Q&A box? What would you do if you are in a depot and the defendant gets into a physical fight with counsel, and then they ask you to be a witness in a hearing before a judge to give your side? That's a good one. Yeah, we got some shocked reactions for that one. Oh my God, no, jury out. No one wants
I think I'm gonna pay for my own transcript.
Yeah. I'm a contractor. Yeah. I get paid per job. I'm not on a salary, guys. So
yeah,
I have to cover it somehow.
I had something kind of similar, not really, like when I was covering one and they were is very aggressive, and the attorney asked me if I would be a witness, like they were going to do something to the attorney, like bring them to case. And I declined and let it be that they would have to like subpoena me. Like I'm staying neutral and staying out of it unless I was forced by someone higher than me to decide. So maybe that's a way to go.
And I like that a lot. And that also goes to, well, you know, we've talked about in webinars past, like you don't want to become a witness. Obviously, it's like that happened on the record. You're there, you saw it. But like during breaks, you know, if you're going to the bathroom and then you realize like some type of altercation is happening in the hallway between, like, just go back into the room, go to the bathroom, but just don't be there, because then you become a witness and this type of thing can happen.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. All right. Let's see. What if the judge is the one requesting to have all their curse words taken out of the record? Lorraine, I don't know if you have any judges asking this of you, but like, what are your thoughts on that from that standpoint? Or
I would go to my immediate boss at court administration. You know, like, I mean, even if a judge does say, you know, I want that stricken from the record. I've not run across that, so I can't speak for that, but I would have to go to my boss, because I don't want to get in trouble, and I sure don't want to upset the judge, but I sure want to follow my guidelines. So
yeah, I've seen ones.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. And I feel like that's fair too, because I've seen like kind of to Merritt's point earlier too, maybe depending on the contractor, the agency of what's going on. So I've done ones before for like administrative hearings, right? Where they are like a little bit more connected and they kind of request it ahead of time. And you know that that's like an expectation. But yeah, that's a good rule of thumb in there for that one.
If the judge would strip something out of the record if they said this on the record, then I would make a note upon submitting my job. If they asked me to do this off the record, then that's where I would go to my agency and maybe have the agency reach out to the judge and the attorneys who ordered me to handle it from there. But
I do know that when I've done transcripts, like if they say, the attorney says, "Well, strike that." Well, we note that we put, you know, Mr. Smith says strike that or whatever, but I don't erase anything without, but I've never had a judge specifically ask.
Yeah. Okay. On the exhibit question, we have someone in the Q&A saying, so what if they mark the exhibit 1, 2, just show 3 and 4 and mark 5 and 6? Would you mark 3 and 4 without asking if he or she wanted them marked? So they showed the exhibit, but didn't ask for it to be marked.
So if they show the exhibit, I always jump in and I would just, hey, for the record, we're marking this as exhibit 3 and also exhibit 4, correct? And just clarify that on the record real quick. I see that Anna also mentioned they showed and said exhibit 3 and 4, but didn't mark them. I would consider them saying this is, if they said exhibit 3 and 4 on the record, I would consider that them wanting to mark it, and I would mark it.
Yeah.
But always clarify it.
Yeah. Love that. I feel like everybody's agreeing with you on that one, Paul, too. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. All right. Let's see. Have time for a little bit more. I want to make sure to get your guys in the chat and the Q&A. So thank you for submitting for those too. I'm trying to see. Well, we have a question in general we could just throw out there. Danielle's asking, has anyone ever said yes, that they have had alcohol or meds that would affect their ability to move forward? Have you guys seen that? Like, what do you do as a court reporter if someone says yes? And like, what if the attorneys are still trying to proceed forward or something? Like, what's your...
I know I've had cases where like they would ask if they had anything within the last 24 hours, and I think they said they had like a couple of beers the night before, and the attorney just said, "Are you able to answer truthfully and accurately today?" And they said yes, and we just went forward with it. I don't think there's much that the reporter can do. It's up to the attorney if they want to bust a deposition and schedule for another day when they're sober.
Yeah.
I'm a silent partner.
Yeah. It's back to the neutral party part of it for that part, right? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay. Let me do one more. Okay, I'm going to ask this one for you, Lorraine. It's kind of a long one, but it's in the chat. I want to ask for our court people too. So I work in a courtroom it's in the Q&A pod. I work in a courtroom that is mostly remote, except for myself, clerk, and the judge. The judge mutes herself on WebEx and asks the clerk and myself a question. Unfortunately, the equipment is permanently installed and I am not close enough to quickly mute her mic. The mixer is permanently installed in front of the clerk, not myself, the reporter. I know it's captured on audio, but it's clear she intends for it to not be heard by the lawyers and litigants. How can I politely approach this subject with her? She is not great with technology, a judge with a lot of seniority, and I'm nervous to ask her to additionally mute the physical microphone. What would you do?
Communication. Absolutely communication. Just so there wasn't any question on, and I don't know, like in some of our courtrooms, we have the ability to mute the judge's mic. But if there's something, because I think if you can just ask her and show her how to do it, then, I think it's just the way that you approach it.
Yeah.
I was in a digital courtroom one time and I was trying to get the judge's system set up and she couldn't remember her password or something. And she was getting really aggravated. And she said, well, we'll just deal with this in a minute. Let's go ahead and start with the proceeding. And I was like, but we can't. We have to do this first. And so I think it's just communication is probably just as important as anything.
Okay, perfect. I love that. Thank you so much. A great rule of thumb for, like we said, too, a lot of scenarios. And we're running close to the end of time. I just want to squeeze one more in, and I'm going to throw this one to you, Merritt, if you don't mind. It says, what would you do if the attorney keeps speaking to his client in a language other than English, and the interpreter is not interpreting what they say in English while on the record?
Okay, so if it's clear that it's a client, like a privileged conversation not intended to be interpreted, then that to me is okay. It's if they're like intentionally whispering, as long as it's not like messing up your audio for the people, if there's another person speaking on the record at that time. But if it's like clear they need it to be interpreted, then yeah, ask the interpreter to interpret. Did I understand that fully?
Yeah, I think you did. And I see the people in the chat going right along with you and agreeing with that. So yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. You guys, we made it to 8 o'clock already. It flew by so fast, so fast. You guys were so fun. The audience, the panel, everything. You guys were amazing. So thank you so much for all your participation and piping in and like being brave. I love that. Like this role takes a little bit of bravery. Like we're, like you said, silent partners. We're neutral. We're there to be, professional in all the ways, but you guys are so bold in what you do and brave and the justice you stand for. So I love that so much. Thank you guys, everybody here, the audience. Thank you for the panelists. You guys are all amazing. Again, the webinar survey will go out tomorrow, you guys. So you can fill that out. You'll get your certificate. You can submit for credit for that. And yeah, we'll look forward to our next webinar we have coming up soon. But thank you guys so much. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.